Hello, hello.
Well, look at us, a little summary here this evening.
Well, it is our summer edition, so I figured, I'm liking the shades, Mr. Anderson.
Well, thank you very much. Not too bad with the hat as well, Mr. Kingsley.
Well, you've got to make the effort, a little bit of that. Got to be health and safety as well. Keep the sunshine off.
Yeah, absolutely. I know one of our guests this evening regularly gets sunburns on the top of his head, given his location in Abu Dhabi. He's regularly getting caught out on the golf course. We'll have to mention that with him when he comes and joins us on the show for a bit. But it's been a month since our last show, Al. What's been happening with you the last month?
Well, all sorts. I'm going to take my hat off. I've got my SPF 50 on, so I should be okay in today's sunshine. It's been a busy month. We've had quite a lot of product updates. There's been lots happening in education, as always. Building up to the other side of the pond, ISTE starts this weekend, which is always a great education event. So that's something really exciting. Lots of different interviews, discussions. You know me, like yourself, Mark, lifelong learner. So always picking up on new ideas. And of course, everybody, for the right reasons, has got a little bit of an eye to the calendar and how many weeks and days we've got left before the summer break. So, busy times. And what about you?
Well, I'll take things to the other end. So I'm here enjoying my evening with my little drink of squash. I'm ready for the event. And we were talking about some activities earlier. So I took a trip up to Penny of Varn, which is the highest point in the Brecons. And if you know that was a good bit of fun there. But professionally, I've been doing some reading recently. A friend of mine wrote a book, some diary about technology and education. So I've been reading through that. It's a really good read, actually. I was quite surprised because he struggles with the words sometimes. Sorry, Al. It's your book. I'm really enjoying getting into and diving into. One of the things I've loved so far is actually not only that it's sort of jam packed with sage advice and all those sort of different things, Al, but as someone I've worked with for a long time and someone I'm pleased and proud to call a friend as well. Actually, it's lovely to hear your voice sort of shining through. Some books can seem really sort of processed or maybe even sort of ghost written or sort of perfunctory in what they say. But it's just lovely hearing your voice shining through. Maybe you should think about doing an audio book or something. I don't know. I don't think Stephen Fry would be too worried, but no, it's been really good. So and we'll talk probably more about your book later on. But if you haven't checked out Al's book, my secret, I should have got the sort of complimentary mug, shouldn't I? I think you might have one somewhere nearby. But please do check out Al's secret EdTech diary. Al, he doesn't sing his own praises enough, really, but he rides both camps from the EdTech side. 30 plus years experience of a successful EdTech developer, but also all the hard work and yards he does in education across a variety of multi-academy trusts that he supports, being part of the Regional School Commissioners Board in the South East and North London, and all the various things that he does and supports education with. That there's loads of great advice and takeaways, not just for some of the startups that are out there, people looking to who've been in the EdTech space for a long time will get a lot of ideas from it. And also, I think it's really quite useful for those sort of school leaders who are thinking about how they can best make the use of technology in school and sort of get the best bang for their buck and all those sort of things in there. It's a real broad audience, I think, that would be interested in reading what you've been sort of writing down and sharing in the book, Al. So I'm really looking forward to the official launch for it. When is the official launch, Al?
I can't remember, but I think it's the 14th of July. It's available in all good bookshops from the 5th, but it's the official launch we're doing on the 14th to allow for the US market as well. Yes. And thank you. Permission to blush, sir.
No, it's great. And as you know, I've written a book or two, haven't I? And one of the best things about it for me is that legacy, actually. The fact that it sort of resides and stays in the British Library, the fact that you dedicated it to your children as well, and those things. It's really quite special to have that, I think. So congratulations. I'm sure you'll get plenty more of those.
I was thinking more about the 50p bin in Woolworths, but that probably dates me because Woolworths isn't there anymore.
No, it's not.
But no, thank you, Mark. That's very kind. I'm certainly looking forward to it being out there. And the bit that you said that's most personal to me is the fact that I wanted it to be like we were having a chat, just to talk it and decomplicate the narrative. So that's lovely to hear. Thank you.
That's all right. It's a pleasure. It's easy to be like that when you've got great content to share about. I'm looking forward to sharing more about it. In fact, I'll be giving you a bit of a grilling at the book launch as well, won't I? So
you are going to be leading the panel to talk about all sorts of cool things. We've got some lovely guests giving up their time to come along and chew the fat on EdTech. And right now, I always think, like we're trying to do here, and many of our guests do, it's just about amplifying the discussion and the debate, getting people talking about and sharing best practice and ideas. So the more we do, it can only help.
Absolutely. And speaking of guests, what a lineup we've got this evening, with our guests coming on the show this evening from sort of smaller businesses, smaller companies, startups. We've got some teacherpreneurs sharing about their activities and things as well, through to all sorts of fantastic guests. But I don't want to sort of spoil it by giving the game away completely for absolutely everybody this evening. But for those of you who haven't joined us on the Check It Out show before, the format's really simple. The guests come on, they have 5 minutes to talk about what it is that they do, what makes them stand out from the crowd, what their offer is into education, all those sorts of things. You'll find information about the various companies and their offers scrolling across the bottom, so please do take note. Please do say hello in the chat as well. We love to know that we're not just talking to ourselves, so please do say hello and in a what's your name, where'd you come from sort of thing. We'd love to hear from you, where you are, your thoughts on the products and ideas that are being shared. And on top of that, we find actually on the show that the majority of our viewers actually come post-event, and given us a bit of football on this evening, it may well be that you're watching this after the live event. But as always, please do get in touch with myself at ICT Evangelist, or Al on alkingsley_edu, or on our Net Supports group Twitter account. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about the product. Let us know what you think about the show. If you've got any ideas for improving things, so forth and so on. We'd love to hear from you post-event, and also obviously live on the show as well.
And can I just say, Mark, because many will be watching this post-event, congratulations to England and Scotland. I'm just going to pause there. Commiserations to England and Scotland, and congratulations or commiserations in any combination thereof. I think that covers us for anybody watching this tomorrow morning or later on in the week. But yes, not the best timing with all the football on, that's for sure.
Well, education never stops, does it? I often share, teaching is a job which never stops. If a child from one of your classes sees you in Tesco, I mean, first of all, there's the obvious surprise that the teacher doesn't actually live in school all of the time. But the teacher never stops being a teacher. A former student of mine doesn't come up to me and say, "Hey, Mark, how you doing?" It's "Hey, sir," or "Hey, Mr. Anderson." You never stop actually being a teacher, do you? And so, like education never stops, it's important we carry on doing these things and sharing these opportunities as well, isn't it? I think.
Absolutely. And I believe our first guest is a good example of an educator that never stops.
Absolutely.
And very much somebody that you know and I know very well, that is a really good example about spreading the word and sharing best practice and ideas. So shall we invite our first guest to the beach, Mr. Anderson?
Absolutely, yes. Hi there, William.
Mr. Lewis, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening. How are you both? I'm not sunburnt yet, but summer has only just arrived.
What temperature is it today in Abu Dhabi, Ollie?
Where we were is about 39 degrees. So warm enough.
Yes.
Warm enough. But it'll rise probably another 10 degrees in the next 6-7 weeks.
Crikey.
I've got a good hat I could lend you.
I might take you up on that offer, Al, actually, I think.
It's only shortly used, about 5 minutes.
Yeah. I need a wide rim to make sure that I'm in as much shade as possible.
Brilliant. Listen, I'm going to pass over to Al to have a chat with you, Ollie, given that I work with you on this project. But good luck, and thank you for joining us on the show, Ollie. Thank you.
Yeah, so I should really kind of move that direction. So I'm talking to both of you, but I'm going to start obviously talking with you, Ollie. Learn Live UAE. I hope many of the listeners who are watching today will have heard about Learn Live UAE, the project for you and Mark. But if they haven't, could you give us a synopsis of what it's all about?
Absolutely, yeah. It's very much like the Check It Out show. It's about amplifying and sharing best practice. So Learn Live UAE is the UAE's premier education show. We're 2 times nominated. Once for the Bet Middle East Game Changer Award. We were finalists in that, as well as the recent Nexus Awards. We were nominated for school collaboration, and the UAE is, whilst it has a wealth of schools and institutions, it's a highly competitive marketplace because the vast majority of schools out here are paid for, are private schools. You can find us if you search for us at youtube.com/LearnLiveUAE. And whilst professional learning and latest thinking is at our core on Learn Live UAE, and it's referenced as a local show, it's also global and has a global, relevant, learning focused and diverse outreach. We've been active for a year now. I think that's correct, Mark. We've held 39 different episodes, so we've had 39 shows, as well as one of the first online conferences in the region, just into the start of this academic year. We've had 85 guests so far on the show, over 27,000 viewers, along with over 25,000 hours worth of our content viewed by not only educators in the GCC region, but also across the globe. And our social outreach for Mark and I is a fairly high number, much like yourselves. We're about 63,000 followers on our various social media platforms. And we're looking at season 3 and how we can do things slightly differently. Season 1 and 2 over the last year, we've had a weekly show sharing best practice, ideas, solutions, learning. And in season 3, we're going to mix it up slightly and do a monthly show, a bit like a Teach Me, in its platform. And we're looking to share solutions, ideas, not only from educators at the coalface, but also seek some sponsorship for our events that are going to happen. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can find us at learnliveuae@gmail.com. And whilst we have a hugely diverse range of educators and solution providers sharing their content, knowledge, experience to help drive learning forwards, both locally in the classroom as well as kind of globally, thinking of a school as a system or a group of schools as a system, we have held all sorts of different foci over the last year. We've had an EdTech mini-series where we've looked at the impact of Apple, Google, Microsoft products in schools. We've had, obviously, the conference. We've had sessions on leadership. We've had sessions on sustainability. We've had sessions on well-being. We've done book reviews. We've had Meet the Authors. We've done sessions on inclusion. We've also had sessions on making data work for you, not only as a school, but as a classroom teacher. We've also held a big quiz for teachers just to have a bit of fun and a bit of a break, and gave out some prizes to those people that engaged with us, as well as looking at how to be an evidence-informed school, as well as educator, how cognitive science can be applied in the classroom, feedback. So we've held sessions on such a wide and diverse range of topics across education, and that's something that we want to keep doing in the coming year. So I hope that gives you a bit of a flavour as to what Learn Live UAE is about.
I'm kind of regretting not asking you what you haven't done, because that would have been a bit quicker and easier. Obviously, I'm biased because I know you're good sales, but it's a cracking show, and it really shows professionalism because you're both experienced and accomplished at doing this, and it really comes across. But I think the real thing that stands out for Learn Live UAE is the breadth of voices that you showcase and you get involved on the different shows. And I think that's really the value, is that kind of that breadth of audience, not only the speakers, but the people that tune in and listen. It's a great show. Normally we ask a couple of different questions, but you've already kind of preempted them. I'm mindful that your partner in crime is my partner in crime on this show. Yeah. Mr. Anderson, is there anything you'd like to add in terms of your highlights for the show that you'd like to share before we run out?
For me, it's just been the engagements. You know, we had so many, engagement with the guests, obviously, but the engagement with the community as well. Like the Check It Out show, we obviously have quite a number of live viewers, but it's fantastic to see the post-event stuff being shared. It forms part of CPD in schools, and it's really sort of taken on board in a really sort of collaborative way. And it's lovely because, as Ollie alluded to, it's a highly competitive market in the Middle East for schools, for places in those schools and all the rest of it. But there's been a real marked change in the last year or three, with schools actually collaborating more, working together, those sorts of things. And that's one of the reasons why we're looking to move it to a Teach Me kind of model from September onwards, because it takes a lot of work, and both mine and Ollie's capacity is a bit hit, but it's really having that sort of model of short, sharp, punchy presentations, very much like we have on the Check It Out show. I'm a big fan of the Teach Me model, and have organised many of them over the years. But again, where the network is more powerful than the node, bringing together lots of educators together, it means that if that one presentation isn't particularly useful for you, previously, if we had one show that was on something which wasn't relevant to you, you'd have to wait until next week. With the Teach Me model, we're going to try and move in with a punchier show with a number of guests in September. It means if it isn't for you, well, don't worry. Give it 5 minutes and you'll find something that's right up your street. And so that's what we're looking for. More people coming together, more ideas, more things being shared, so forth and so on. So if you want to get involved, speaking or sponsoring, please do get in touch with myself and Ollie, either via our Twitter handles, which you can see on the screen now. Obviously, you can get in touch via learnliveuae@gmail.com, or simply head to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/learnliveuae, and you can reach out, and our contact details are all on there as well.
Thank you, Mark. And I think the most important thing is just get involved. Good advice, good practice. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, geography-wise. It may be a UAE name on the end, but you can be anywhere in the world and really pick up some good ideas. And certainly, if you're a vendor looking to get exposure and get in front of people in the area, great starting point to go to. So thank you. And thank you, Mr. Lewis, for coming in off the beach and joining us this evening.
Thank you, gents. Always welcome.
Cheers, Ollie.
See you. Look after yourself.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, that's a good start, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, absolutely. And given it's about 11 p.m. there, I think it's probably about time he went off to bed as well. So it's probably good that we had him up first.
Well, I'm using the background graphic on the basis that everybody is officially on the beach whilst they're with us. But yes, he's good of him to go up this evening and come and join us. So we should move swiftly on. I think we've got our next guest lined up. So next up on the show, we have Marcelo with us from Adukai Learning System.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Al.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, welcome. Hola.
Very good, thank you. Hola.
Thanks for joining us this evening. Lovely to have you on the show. Hopefully, you're familiar with the format of the show. So yeah. We're gonna dive straight in with number one question for you. So tell us about your solution.
So Adukai is a co-curricular learning system that helps schools teach computational thinking and coding to students from 1st grade to 12th grade. Adukai's methodology combines both design thinking and project-based learning. The curriculum has more than 10 coding languages, and it's aligned with 2 international standards. We have today around a little bit more than 100 schools that are partnered with us. And through those schools, we are impacting around 50,000 students every week.
Excellent. It's a good base.
It's not a small. That's not a small number there, Marcelo. Thank you for sharing that. There are a few other solutions in the market which sort of try to sort of work in a similar way to yours. What's sort of unique? What makes Adukai stand out from the crowd compared to others who offer resources and ideas around computational thinking and so forth?
Yes.
And
so the most important thing I'll say that is that we're focusing on teaching coding and computational thinking as a language and not as a subject. Like if you think about bilingual schools around the world, they started providing, subjects like math or science that are being taught in English. Before you had, the way they thought about it was they were teaching English as a class. Today we're doing the same with technology. We're teaching coding as a subject and not as a language as it is. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to help schools think about coding and computational thinking differently. We're helping them teach math or science using coding as the language of instruction. So you may have a math class, but uses coding as the underlying language of instruction. It's the way we think about it is that we're talking in English right now. English is the language of globalization, correct? But coding is the language of innovation. Coding is the driving force behind technology, and it's not necessarily only for software engineers. It's for everybody. So we are making sure that we cover everybody when we're at school. For those that like music, we have curriculum that uses coding as the underlying language of instruction for music, for example. That is the big differentiation, I'll say.
And for some people listening, that there might be a little bit of a fear factor of coding as the language to teach my maths class or whatever. So how accessible is it in terms of how do you introduce those kind of themes and strands into the classroom?
Yes, so I'll say we provide support to teachers and school staff through three main services. So first, we provide lesson by lesson, 100% cloud-based, potentially as asynchronous if needed. In terms of the pandemic, that helped a lot. We provide it in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, okay, that content. Two, the teacher training. We provide teacher training both in the methodology and the content. And the third piece of the puzzle there is the platform. We have a platform that is powered by machine learning to help personalize the learning path for each student in the classroom. The way we think about Adukai is basically a turnkey solution for schools. Okay, this is like a program as a service. It is for those schools that don't want to lag behind. Okay, Adukai keeps up with the new relevant content in computational thinking, the new coding languages that are appearing. So we basically provide everything every year to our subscribers. That way, that's the school and the teacher doesn't have to, worry about that every 6 months in terms of, my curriculum is current? Am I lagging behind? That's basically the service that we provide to the teachers.
Gotcha.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thank you so much for sharing. You've got a few moments left, Marcelo. Was there anything you wanted to share more about Adukai before your time runs up?
I'll say that this is something that we are opening today in Europe. We have been very active in Latin America and in the US, and we'll be extremely happy to hear from your subscribers and from either the teachers or the staff from the schools to see if they like our product. We can provide demos, and we could provide other tools to showcase our value proposition.
Fantastic. And we see you've got your details running along the bottom there. So head across to that website or to your Twitter account there, and they can get in contact with you and arrange a demo or an evaluation, can they?
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank
Brilliant.
you. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks, Marcelo.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you. That sounds really innovative and a really different approach to it. I was first introduced to Adukai via Yolanda Ramirez, who's somebody I've worked with before at the International College Spain, who's also from Latin America, albeit in Madrid now. She's joining us this evening, actually. She sent us a little message earlier saying, hola from Madrid, delighted to be here. So thank you for joining us as well, Yolanda. Seems like a really innovative approach to teaching computing, doesn't it, Al?
It does. And we know that there's if we think about transferring that skill set all the way through education and out into the broader world, I think the key thing is always about how do we make these skills accessible from the start. So I really wanted to unpick, and I love the fact there's that kind of wraparound support around, not just for the learners, but for the teachers as well. So definitely worth, as the show says, going and checking it out. What have you got to lose to go and have a look on the website, find out a bit more? Yeah,
absolutely. And speaking of things to check out, we've got a brand new guest to the show on
Really?
next. No, he's been on before, but I'm really excited because, as you know, Al, the updates to this piece of software are both timely and going to be in high demand as well. But I'm not going to steal his thunder. Welcome back to the show, please, Mr. Matt Jones. Welcome, Matt.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Al. Nice to be here again.
Good evening. Good to see you, matey.
Good evening.
Welcome back to the show, Matt. Now, you're from Classroom.cloud. For those who haven't heard of or come across Classroom.cloud before, could you share a little bit about what it is in an elevator pitch kind of style, please?
Yep, very, very briefly. Classroom.cloud is a cloud-based, as the name would describe, classroom management tool. So this is a tool for teachers in real time to be able to see what the students are doing, so see their screens, interact with them, collaborate with them, keep them on task by maybe restricting what websites, applications they can use, locking their screen if they want to get their attention and talk to them. So a whole host of tools for the teacher so that they can actually keep the kind of the learning objectives flowing and keep the lesson moving at the pace they want to. Obviously, being cloud-based, it works equally well with the students in the classroom as they have been sort of more recently, but also we've seen in the last year or so where they're kind of dispersed and all over the place, really, at home, in other classrooms and things like that. So that, in a nutshell, is classroom.cloud as it was.
And of course, the important thing I always like to say, Matt, and it's kind of hopefully a nice segue, is with all great power comes responsibility. So there are two strands. A very nice mug you got there, good quality, by the way.
Thank you. I got this as this was a birthday present for me, so very pleased with it. Thank you very much.
No expenses spared.
Indeed.
So you've talked about all the functionality in terms of the engagement and interaction, but also at the same time, there are other priorities in terms of looking after our learners, both in the classroom and online. So tell us about the latest updates. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, since I was last on the show, I think it was March, we've done a number of updates. The developers and testing teams have been kind of hard at it, practically doing updates. We've introduced an Android student. So from a classroom management point of view, we can now monitor and manage Android devices as well. We've made a lot of enhancements to our Chrome student as well, bringing that more in line maybe with what we have on Windows and other platforms. And then from a techie point of view, we've got inheritance now. So you can set your settings and configuration at a site level. So, or you can do it at your organization level. So that is perfectly or a great tool really for MATs and districts, so they can actually manage centrally all their schools. Last week, we introduced a new strand. So it being a teacher tool previously, we now have a role of safeguarding. So we can actually now monitor keywords and phrases. So in the UK, this is along the lines of keeping children safe in education and prevent duty. So we can do that active monitoring of keyboard, what the students are typing, and that's, as I said, one of the legislation requirements for prevent duty. So look at the product, and again, if you've seen it before, there's a lot of new things in there with regards to the phrase and keyword monitoring. And then this week, we're doing a further update, which will further extend the safeguarding tools to actually include Teams monitoring. So if you're typing on your mobile device, whether that's an Android, iOS, whatever, and we can now monitor any keywords and phrases that are being typed that potentially are going to be something that school needs to be aware of. We can monitor those and trigger alerts and phrases from that as well. So that's the latest edition. And there's going to be another update before the summer term, the UK summer term finishes, with some more sort of features and just rounding that off before the sort of school break.
And I have to ask you, Matt, in terms of the filtering and monitoring, one of the questions we always like to ask guests is what makes ours different. So is there anything different you want to share in terms of our approach?
Sure. One of the main things that we get feedback from schools who've potentially used other solutions is the number of false positives that they bring up. And through our kind of algorithms and the way that we do the calculations of whether a phrase or keyword is valid, we actually reduce those number of false positives. We also have what we call a risk analysis, risk index. So what a safeguarding lead would probably look at when they get a phrase triggered is, who is it? Where were they? Were they being supervised? Is it a risky website? Is it sort of like a student that we need to pay more attention to? So those things in the risk index help to prioritize an alert, which may be the same priority as another one, based on the contextual side of it as to who the student is and at what time maybe that happened. So we've got things like that in the software, in the safeguarding, that actually differentiates us. We also have multiple languages that we can monitor as well. So I think it's up to 15 different languages now that we monitor keywords and phrases. So even UK schools, they have students from all different sort of languages there. So that will help to pick up any phrases that they're typing in a non-English language as well. And obviously, depending on where you are in the world, the interface is now in lots of languages as well. So you can use that just as well in different countries for that. So I think that's really what differentiates us, really.
I'm going to jump in with one there actually as well. There's a feature that I really like, which you didn't mention there, and it was highlighted actually in a conversation that I had that you were involved in, Matt, as well, from the e-safety advisor Alan McKenzie, and also from Tracy Good, who shares an awful lot around online safety. And it was the fact that the keywords can be curated collaboratively, can't they?
Yes, that's something. Being cloud-based now, we've got the luxury of being able to collate. With the kind of the organization's sort of permission and consent, we can actually collate all of the user-defined keywords that they add into the system. So we can get that information, we can review it, we can see which ones are the ones that are being sort of added by multiple schools, the more popular ones, so to speak, and then we can feed those back in for the good of everybody. So we can kind of crowdsource keywords and phrases in the solution as well. So that's something that will help us to build on the library and the phrase library that we've got currently.
Yeah, and I love that feature. The fact, and this is something that you've always shared, Al, about what we try and do at Net Support as well, is working with, our clients, working with teachers, working with schools. And it goes back to that network being more powerful than a node, isn't it? If we're looking to keep children protected, actually, what better way to do that than actually working together to curate the latest lingo, the latest slang, the latest, buzzword for whatever it is that children are into these days. I'm far too long in the tooth to be down with the kids myself, but no, I think it's a fantastic feature. So
Yeah.
I'd like to bring that up.
I think it also is quite nice when we think about a number of the guests we've had over the months. One of the things that always resonates is the products that are co-produced, where reference the work that Matt's been doing with Alan and Tracy and others. It's always good to get the expert view, not always just take your own perception of what you want to deliver. So I think that's also a really, really strong one. But perfect timing and a great insurance policy, I guess, for schools, Matt, to have that flexibility to flex in and out of the physical space.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully they don't need it again, but yeah, it is there, and it's certainly something that schools are now considering when they're buying new solutions, that they can be used, regardless of where the students and teachers are. It's kind of boundaryless, really.
Bro, and if people want to find out more or give it a try,
as it's scrolling on, it's gone. Classroom.cloud is the website, and then we've got at classroomcloud_ as our Twitter handle as well. So if you can sort of follow us on there, or if you need to try the software, you can go to classroom.cloud, sign up for a free trial. If you need anything longer than the 30-day trial that we offer, contact us, and we're more than happy to help you and do demos and things like that. But yeah, all the information really you can find it on classroom.cloud, the website.
Perfect. Good pitch as always. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much. I'll be off now to watch the football. So 26 minutes to get home.
Cheers, Matt. Thank you. Lovely to see you.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Thanks, Al.
Cheers. Thanks.
Bye.
Oh, fantastic. And that is one of the great things in that obviously it's leveraging the cloud, isn't it? But having that opportunity to bring people together and work together, try and make a product even bigger and better to support everyone. Yeah. Lovely.
And talking about the community, Mark, that we talk about, another good example, Classroom.cloud has been with the team at Education Alliance in Finland, got a 94% score on pedagogy and the underlying principles behind the product, and with that constant narrative now about research-informed products and actually evidencing that they're fit for purpose. These kind of conversations kind of give you those kind of checkpoints to be thinking about when if you're a school leader or a teacher, thinking about technology and having those kind of reassurance about where you're going to invest your time trying things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so if Classroom.cloud sounds of interest to you, then please do, as the show title suggests, please
check it out.
And check it out. Absolutely. So next up on the show, we have, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this correctly because it could be French, but Lawrence Royston on the show next from Team SOS. Welcome.
Hi, Lawrence.
Your microphone's up. Sorry,
it's not French at all.
I got it right. Yes. Sorry, Laurence.
Yeah, Laurence. Yeah, no, yeah. There's been other ways it's been said, but certainly, no, you did.
Good to see you, Lawrence. How are you?
Good to see you both. Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. Very good. Thanks for the opportunity.
As always, lovely to have you on the show. So, Team SOS sounds like it could be a pretty cool movie name, actually. Tell us about the solution.
Like that. Thank you. Team SOS is an incident and emergency response solution for school staff. Myself, Joe, Alex, a couple of the other founders of Group Call, and indeed Lynn Taylor, if you know Lynn, who's the founder of Parent Pay, we all got together to solve a problem that we'd seen in emergency response in schools, and it started and has evolved over the time. And Team SOS does a number of different things very well. It gets people to problems. So if you like, on any device that a staff member may have, they can make a call for help. It could be an everyday issue, a behavioural issue, a student is acting up or giving the teacher grief. And so the member of staff can call for help from the on-call team, if you like. But it does a number of other things, lots of different sorts of incidents. More serious incidents like cyber attacks it can help with as well, or major medical emergencies. The app allows you to sort of make sure the right people, the right team, based on the type of incident, are called and they will respond. Yeah. So if it's a serious and if it's actually a serious incident, or whatever sort of incident it is, the requester, the person who's asking for help, feels supported because they know someone's on their way. As I say, if it's a serious incident, you can actually switch on live streaming to their colleagues. So if you like, your hands-free audio of what's going on around you, right, is streamed to the people, so they can hear if someone's being aggressive with you, and they can decide to run or walk, or depending on the seriousness of the incident. The application and system allows you to type messages, but it also allows you to talk in like a walkie-talkie style. So in terms of replacing walkie-talkies in schools with all the issues that they have, Team SOS does that. It also provides in-the-moment guidance to ensure that a best practice response. For example, if there was a medical incident, the app actually has medical videos for 18 different types of incidents. So if it's CPR or a burn or an epileptic incident, seizure, it has actually built-in videos, in-the-moment videos, to tell you exactly what to do, where to put your hands and where to push. No fluff, no flower, in portrait mode, so you can see them properly, right? And they play on a loop. So it's actually, and they're stored locally on the device. So you don't even need internet access. So it gives you that kind of support. So you've got the information to hand. People can actually signpost that to you. If you're too busy and you're panicking, another user can signpost that video to you, and it appears on the screen, and they can see that you've looked at it. It also provides task lists, so a list of things to do when a certain incident happens. For example, we've had a lockdown in school. It will provide all of the members of staff the list of actions that they need to do, you know, close the door, block the door, put the kids out of sight, all of those kind of things. And it's sort of, you know, when you can't think about it, the software is there to support you to do that. And it also provides evidence, a detail of every incident, if you like, through an audit trail. Even the audio you type is converted to text, right? And there's an audit trail which can be exported. So an evidence log of a whole incident can be exported from the system and put in other external systems, like things like CPOMs and things like that. We also do, of course, the app runs on Windows. It runs on all the mobile platforms, iOS and Android. Tablets, etc., and Chromebooks, right? But what it also does is that there's one of these things, which is a Bluetooth button. So if you you're not allowed to have your phone in the classroom. You can't have it out. You can have one of these panic buttons, it's not necessarily a panic, but it's a call for help button. You click that button, and it raises an incident in the system. And that's fundamentally the capabilities, if you like, of TeamOS to get skilled people to an incident, route the response in best practice, and preserve all the details to reflect and improve on.
It's a pretty comprehensive solution there, and I have to say, having taken a look at some of the structures, the checklists and so on, it's really well put together, and it's a very capable solution. As are many of the solutions from the stable. We've been big fans of GDPR in schools as well, so that, you know, again, it's lovely to see the solution coming together. Conscious of the countdown clock, Lawrence, for schools that would like to find out more, where's the best place to head to? Please get in touch, teamsos.co.uk, and we'll happy to have a conversation. Brilliant. Thank you for coming on and sharing. It's a great solution. Definitely worth a check out. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much. Cheers. Well, that sounds fab, doesn't it? I mean, one of our second question is, you know, what makes it stand out from your competitors? But I mean, there's so many comprehensive features inside there, which will be of use to people in schools in the wide variety of situations where you do need a call out. That sounds absolutely spot on the money, didn't it, Al?
I think it's one of those ones where I think Lawrence covered all those kind of strands, which is, you know, the nice thing is not just the communication, but the way that it actually provides you with the steer and the guidance of what to do in that situation. And some of the little extras like that, the button, and also the going hands-free, just shows it, again, probably another good example of a product that's produced, you know, for education with educators to make sure that it's absolutely fit for purpose. So, you know, as we find, we're very lucky. We get some great products and guests come on the show, and another great solution to add to the ever-growing list. And yeah, the team, Lawrence and Lynn and others, that they've been behind a number of really good solutions over the years that all absolutely come from that same kind of mindset. So good to have them on the show.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Brilliant stuff. Our next guest, someone I don't know, but I did stumble across on Twitter a conversation with this person, and he was sharing about the activity they've been doing out of Bristol. And it was just Bristol University, and it just seemed like such a great opportunity and a great idea. So I suggested they come on to the show and share a bit about what it is they're up to. So welcome to the show. Johnny, how are you?
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Yeah,
Good to see you. Very well, thank you.
So you're up in Bristol, yes?
Yes. I work for Bristol Chem Labs, which is the outreach arm of the School of Chemistry at the University of Bristol.
Brilliant stuff. So just up the road from me, I'm just down in sunny Burnham-on-Sea. So a little hop, skip, and a jump down to Junction 22, and we'll be down spoons before you know it. But if that doesn't happen, Johnny, you're probably busy doing stuff on the Chem Labs YouTube channel. Do you want to share a little bit with us about what your solution is and how it sort of came about and how it happened and all these sort of things, please?
Yeah, sure. So Bristol Chem Labs, we normally, kind of a non-COVID scenario, we'd be traveling around the country, traveling around to different countries around the world, teaching chemistry and kind of general science as well through some educational but generally fun workshops and lecture demonstrations and assemblies. And we would normally be teaching everyone basically, so all age groups, kind of through the schooling or university level students. And we also do training for trainee teachers, but also kind of continuing CPD for qualified teachers as well. But obviously during the lockdowns, we weren't able to travel. And we realized that these trainee teachers who are training to either become science teachers or to specifically become chemistry teachers, we realized that they weren't able to get the demonstration training for kind of being able to learn how to demonstrate a chemical reaction. Kind of, you've obviously got your standard chemical demonstrations, maybe like the whoosh bottle or methane rockets, and they weren't getting the training. So we decided to create some videos that would all be open access. So we started filming at the university and creating these videos. Yeah, we started with the generally the more standard experiments like the whoosh bottle, elephant's toothpaste, methane rockets, things like that. And then we, as the lockdowns kind of extended, we delved into the slightly less used experiments, maybe like the barking dog experiment or burning magnesium in big chunks of dry ice. So in the final lockdown, we were giving some free kind of teacher training sessions. So we were taking groups of teachers, mainly in the UK. We had a group from Kenya, which was quite interesting, and we were taking them through a section or kind of a selection, of these videos. We've got about 101 of these teacher training videos now. So we took them through a few in the set period of time that we had, kind of showing them the video, allowing them to ask questions about how to demonstrate this particular chemical reaction, what kind of classic things can maybe go wrong, how to make sure that it's safe for the demonstrating teacher, but obviously how to keep it safe for the students as well who are in the classroom, how to maybe prepare in a certain way, just to make sure that they are confident enough to not shy away from doing these reactions, because we're very aware. I mean, we've been running for about 20 years now. Not me personally, but my boss, Tim Harrison, who's kind of internationally known as a chemistry lecture demonstrator. We're aware that some teachers don't feel confident in the demonstrations that they kind of maybe want to give, but then because they're not confident, they don't give. So yeah, we were able to give these kind of teacher training sessions, but also all the videos are up on YouTube. It's Bristol Chem Labs on YouTube, and there's a big bank of these videos that people can watch. And then we're also on Twitter at Bristol Chem Labs on Twitter. And if any teachers have any questions about the demonstrations, then please feel free to send us a message, and we'll more than happily reply. On the channel, we also have a load of student-based experiments and all the different lectures that we give, and also some kind of university-based advice and some university kind of lectures from PhD students talking about their journey, and talking about their research, which we used to give live, but obviously we can't do at the moment.
Johnny, I feel like you mentioned an experiment there, and as the owner of 3 barking dogs, is there a way to reverse the experiment?
Just give them lots of strokes, I think, is the answer to keeping them happy.
Now, listen, we're pretty much out of time, but I've got to ask you, because I think you've covered lots in your summary there, and it really sounds interesting. What's the kind of there's always lots of resources available on our favorite streaming channels. What would you say is the kind of the USP, the unique approach that you take with your resources?
Yeah, you're right. There's lots of chemistry on YouTube, which is amazing. But I think the difference from us is that we are showing the teachers how to do the experiments and talking them through the potential things that can go wrong, or the classic things that go wrong, and how to prevent that just by a bit of kind of prior preparation, and maybe just trying it out a few times before they actually do it in front of a class, just so something that is going to explode, they're aware that it's going to explode, and they know how loud it is, so they don't accidentally let slip some expletives, which are not particularly appropriate in the classroom.
No, I think that's really important as well, Johnny, isn't it? Because the role of a teacher is so important. You're speaking to the next generation of chemists, perhaps, aren't you? And so,
absolutely,
if you do a great experiment, it can be that thing which captures their imagination, which then propels them like a rocket. No correlation intended there, obviously. But it's so important, isn't it, to do a good job? And it sounds like you're approaching it in absolutely the right way. For those people who want to find out more, you said it's Bristol Chem Labs. I think actually we've got the valid link down the bottom there. Brilliant stuff. And you're just Bristol Chem Labs on Twitter as well. I think that's probably everything. Was there anything else you wanted to share at all, Johnny?
Yeah, just to say, now that the schools are kind of opening up a little bit more, we are taking bookings, and we're very happy to travel all around the country, and often we can discuss with maybe like the local RSC groups and other potential funding options to try and help out certain schools. So we are taking bookings for the next academic year. And we would really love to start traveling around again. We love coming into all the different schools.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Lovely to see you.
Thank you very much.
There. Check it out. Don your safety goggles, everybody, and get in touch. Fantastic. Thanks, Johnny.
No, thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Have a great night.
Take care, and you. Bye.
This is going to shock them, Mr. Anderson. We're running a little bit behind time. It's not like us, is it?
Never. Only 1 or 2 guests behind time. That doesn't.
Yes.
Should we jump straight on to our next guest?
I think we should. We should.
I want to say this is Miles, but I half want to say it is Marty, but I do know it's actually Miles. So welcome, Miles. Welcome to the show. How are you doing this evening?
Hi, Mark. Hi, Al. Doing very well, thanks, and delighted to join you on what is certainly the most exciting live action you'll see this evening anywhere, I think.
You can come back, Miles.
Absolutely.
No, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
You're very, very welcome. So jumping straight into the questions as we're running behind time and want you to get the most out of your time with us this evening. Can you share a little bit about your solution, what it is that you do, all that sort of thing, please?
Of course. So yeah, my name's Miles Bax. I'm representing Robotical Limited tonight. We're an educational technology company based in Edinburgh, and we manufacture Marty the Robot. We've created and manufactured this little guy here. Marty the Robot is a walking, dancing, eyebrow wiggling, football playing, very appropriate tonight, robot that is designed to inspire the next generation of roboticists and engineers. And how did Marty come about? Well, our founder, Dr. Alexander Enoch, was doing a PhD in robotics at the University of Edinburgh. And his niece was showing some interest in what he was up to. And he wanted to to give her something for Christmas that was going to continue this inspirational vein. And yet everything on the market at the time was either novelty, remote control, toy kind of end of the spectrum, or else highly academic, quite difficult, and frankly, quite expensive. And so he set about to create a robot that would provide great value and a learning progression that was robust enough to handle the vigors of classroom life, and came up with Marty the robot. So the idea with Marty is you start with a screen-free form of programming. You can use color cards to enable the robot to walk around the room, find its way through a maze, perform a cool dance routine, whatever that may be. And then you can progress as you get a bit older, a bit more skilled, into using Scratch, which I'm sure many of your viewers will know very well. Block-based programming language that allows kids to get started immediately. But the cool thing with Marty, of course, is it takes those instructions out of the screen and into the 3D realm. And then once you've conquered that, you can go on to add different sensors to Marty. You can even add, you can interact with things like the microbits, and you can program using real languages like Python. So there is that cool learning progression that allows a wide variety of young students to understand a bit more about robotics. But so yeah, what makes the solution different? Well, for us, it really is this personality that comes out with Marty. So there's a lot of cool products on the market that are perhaps wheeled and can roll around the room, for example, and that does provide a lot of excitement for young students. But with having a real humanoid robot, that kind of takes that level up. And of course, you can customize Marty with the stickers that come provided. We've seen an array of very creative costumes that are fashioned by the students of different schools, and some interesting dance routines. We're complete with some pretty impressive kits. Have been doing the rounds from schools from Australia to Rwanda to the US, and domestically, of course, all around the UK as well. So yeah, that humanoid walking aspect is really exciting, and it does provide fantastic value for teachers who are wanting to introduce this form of robotics into the classroom. And the fact that there's a patent pending walking mechanism with smart servos really allows a lot of exploration into the various aspects and mechanics that surround the world of robotics. So how can we support the audience here and teachers around the UK? Well, we at Robotical believe that Marty allows learning to come alive. We aim to provide a classroom in a box with our robotics solutions. So you have all the robot kit that you need, the sensors that can make things even more fun, and the instructions and indeed the lesson plans to allow you to perform great fun lessons and really keep those kids engaged and interested in all the STEM subject matter that you're providing. So something else I should mention is that we have educational specialists on the team. We've got hours and hours of lessons and activities on our website, robotical.io. You can check those various lessons out, and they're benchmarked to various national curriculum. So we're based in Edinburgh, so we have a full curriculum for excellence benchmarks for the Scottish curriculum. We also have full benchmarks for national curriculum in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. That's all on the website. And we work with resellers around the world, so we are benchmarked to the Australian curriculum, for example, as well as the ISTE standards in the US, and some state standards like Georgia, for example, where we're particularly active. So that clear learning progression, we hope, is going to be exciting for some of the teachers and students out there. And you can have a no obligation free trial, 2-week free trial to use Marty in the classroom if you go to robotical.io and click on the free trial offer at the top right of the homepage, and hope that some of you might take that up.
Listen to that for a presentation. You got it spot on there, Miles.
Well done.
Pro performance there. Very good.
Thank you very much. I quite enjoyed that timer, I have to say. That was very good. It keeps you on track.
I thought that was a very slick walkthrough of all the key points we needed to hear. Can we have another look at robot before you head off?
Of course you can. This is Marty right here. And if you're lucky, I might just get an eyebrow wiggle just for the audience as well.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Really good summary. Sounds an amazing product. And just as important as Marty the robot, wishing you and other teams all the success this evening. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. We might need it more than you, but we'll see.
I think we both might. But there we are. Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys.
Good to see you. Thank you, Miles.
Take care.
you.
Bye bye.
Take care. Cheers.
Well done, Miles. That's how to do a pitch, isn't it?
That's the way to do it, isn't it? I think we should sort of cut, after we finish that, download a video, cut that segment out, and just send that as a benchmark for all future guests on the show.
We could have taken a break there.
It was just absolutely brilliant. I mean,
And a great product. Great product.
what a lovely solution as well. You know, it's you know, a pretty crowded market as well. But how lovely to hear that story. And again, you know, linking through to education, supplying what teachers need and the support. They've got the infrastructure, they've got the resources, they've got lesson plans. You know, and the all important, I think, these days, chance to have a little play with it first.
Absolutely. Always really good. But on a plus, having just had that great pitch from a really great product, I know we've got another really good solution coming up next. So I think we're going to mosey on straight into introducing Joanne to the show from Khajiit Smart Spots. Hi, Joanne.
Indeed. Welcome, Joanne.
Lovely to be with you. I'm not sure I can compete with Marty the robot, though. It was very impressive. So I heartily endorse all of your comments. So thanks for having me. Do you have any questions before I start?
Oh, we've got our main question. So we are going to steer you straight in for your 5 minutes. So you got the most opportunity to share. Tell us a bit about your solution as a starter.
So the COVID pandemic really opened, our eyes to the fact that there are almost 1 million children across the UK that are currently digitally excluded, which is, really, really sad. And digital exclusion is another facet of the deep inequalities which run through the social fabric in the UK. And it's more widespread than many people realise. So as an aspect of deprivation, digital exclusion cannot be overlooked. Children living in poverty are significantly disadvantaged in relation to their more wealthier peers. So of those who have been eligible for school meals or looked after children, only 25% achieved grades 9 to 5 in their GCSE English and Maths in 2019. And compare that with 50% of all other pupils. There's obviously a huge discrepancy. Providing these children with paper-based activities is itself fraught with difficulties. It's not sustainable, it's not eco-friendly, and it doesn't have a playing field for those children. So Khajiit seeks to close the digital divide, both through widening digital access and improving digital skills. And this will be essential in creating a more equitable society. So the device itself, the Khajiit Smart Spot, provides unlimited connectivity, so a child will never be without access to their learning. It's filtered at a network level as opposed to a device level, which addresses all safeguarding concerns. And the Sentinel platform gives really rich data insights, so it can inform future lesson planning if they're engaging in really good online learning activities. It does time of day controls. You can set the device so you can turn it off during the evening if you don't think it's appropriate for a child to be on, say from midnight until the morning. They're really easy to adopt. There's no additional workload for a teacher or a school. And most importantly, Khajiit Smart Spots empower students to take responsibility for their own learning. And they do this, giving them the tools that tap into the learning behaviours that young people intuitively enjoy. And in return, they will secure their own learning outcomes, raise their aspirations, raise their attainments, and achieve their true potential. So the COVID pandemic already changed the way we interact. It looks to have a lasting effect on the way we communicate. So at Khajiit, we are looking to address the digital divide, to take it seriously and to act now, because a well-educated workforce is far better for society, and it gives equality of opportunity for all people, regardless of their circumstance.
Well said. Thank you, Joanne. So would you like to just share, if you can, a couple of highlights as to how you would differentiate what makes your solution different from others?
Yeah, so it's the first and key attribute is that it's filtered at a device, at a network level. So there are some solutions there where you can protect a device, especially if it's issued by a school. But the problem there is a child can take a 4G dongle or whatever they have been provided with from a protected device and put it into mum or dad's device and be exposed to lots of potentially harmful content online. So Khajiit Smart Spot has been, it's been established in America for well over a decade, where the problem of digital inequity has been, you know, a much more prevalent problem that's been addressed. So filtering, you know, a child will never be exposed to online harm. Also, it's customizable. So, you know, if a child is doing a sex and relationships education lesson in year 10, you know, a school has the options to customize it where it's age appropriate to do so. It also has some really rich data insights. So it has an inbuilt platform, and that has, you know, all of the, you know, really clever things. It's actually got 38 patents and 39. So that one more on the way. That should be here within the next month or so. And yeah, really Khajiit. Any questions?
I'm going to ask one. I know Mark is eagerly waiting there. Have you got any upcoming webinars where people can find out more?
Yeah. Thank you, Al. Yes, we've got a webinar in conjunction with BET, and that's running this Friday, the 25th. And Al Kingsley, you will be on our panel.
No. Good time to catch up. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all about rethinking pedagogy and practice in light of the post-COVID for schools. So I hope you can join us there on Friday. Mark?
You're on mute, Mr. Anderson.
I thought I'd just try that just to see if it can catch you out on your toes. I've got plenty of questions for you, John, but unfortunately we're out of time, and I know we're running behind time a little bit as well. But hopefully we can catch up for a chat at another time so I can find out more. If people want to find out more about Khajiit themselves, John, where would they go to? Where would they head to? Try and find
www.khajiit.co.uk.
Brilliant stuff. And you're on Khajiit UK on Twitter as well. And I'm guessing if people follow your Twitter, Khajiit UK, they'll find information about your upcoming webinar on Friday with Al and others with Beth. Yeah.
They would indeed, yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Listen, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and thank you for sharing about Khajiit. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Bye.
Cheers. Take care. Fantastic. It's a great little solution, isn't it? Just try and, you know, break down those barriers that can affect so many families in our society. Just really useful.
Digital equity has got to be up there on the list of priorities we've got to sort out. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for too long, too many schools have ignored that as well, haven't they, really? So yeah, great to see someone coming along with a decent solution that goes some way to try and to address that. Brilliant stuff. Who's up next, Al?
Now, this is a familiar face to some of our listeners. Like many of our guests, often we have updates and news to come back seasonally through the year. And so I'm really pleased that we have the one and only Kat, who is joining us from the Really Cool, Really School team. Hi, Kat.
Hi. Thank you for having me here. It's nice to see you both.
Hey, Kat. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. Lovely to see that little, is it a Pokemon poster on the side just next to you?
It might be a Pokemon poster, yeah. Trust you.
Just 1 mile away.
So, welcome onto the show, Kat. So you're from Really School. Obviously, myself and Al know you very well because you work together. It's a product from Net Support. But for those guests who are joining us, our audience who are here tonight, who might not have heard a bit about Really School, could you share with us what Really School is all about, please?
Yeah, sure. So Really School is a cloud-based app and portal for teachers to use in the classroom to capture learning, to link that to the curriculum, engage with parents, support home learning, and also for things like monitoring progress and attainment, finding where those learning gaps are and planning next steps, and also to kind of save time by streamlining daily processes and being able to do a bit more on the go. So there's quite a lot of strands to it, really.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you. Now, Al was mentioning about some updates. There's been some updates to the platform recently, have there?
Yeah, we've had a few updates. I'm really pleased with them. So we've really looked at kind of what all of our schools were saying and what they wanted. So we've first of all added in some safeguarding stickers so schools can cover children's faces. So if they're in like a group photo, things like that, just a really simple way to make sure everything's safe and secure, but that those pupils can still be included in that evidence collection. We've got things like being able to set dates and times of observations, so teachers can schedule things in advance, or they can type up things that they didn't get time to complete. And we've also got things like parent observations. So before, parents could respond to home learning activities, but now they can create their own observations and share special achievements from home with the teacher. They can give feedback, they can mark it against the curriculum, and they can award things like badges to celebrate that success from home. So some really nice key new features there.
This is an interesting one, Mark, isn't it? Because one of the things we often talk about, and certainly in recent months, has been about the lessons learned from the lockdown without tempting fate on future ones. And one of the strands we talked about is where technology will continue to be embedded in those good practices. And the point Kat's talking about there is about that sense of actually, it doesn't just have to be, particularly for early years, observations in the classroom, but parents can play a more active role in supporting the evidence for teachers. So it's I think that's a really nice one to kind of hear. I suppose the other question, Kat, people often talk about, well, there's different solutions that are available, particularly perhaps a limited field, but EYFS in terms of observations. Where do you kind of see the USPs, the unique aspects that really resonate for really school?
So I think one of the key factors for us is the team that we have. So within Net Support, everyone is really passionate about the education community and do a lot to support it outside of just providing a solution. We're always keen to kind of share resources and support, organise events and things like that as well. We're really passionate about what we do. And we make sure that we really support our local community. So we offer our solution free to Peterborough schools because we really want to make sure that we do our bit for our local community. We are really kind of driven on what our schools want and need, especially as a lot of us work in or have worked in education. So we really understand kind of all those challenges and we make sure to respond to the current things as they go. So like I said, with the last updates, those are all things that schools wanted. But prior to that, we've also really had to focus on things like the home learning and parent observations because of the challenges that lockdown brought. So that's the other thing, is that we're always kind of making sure that we adapt to what teachers need and what the new challenges are as they come in.
That's really interesting, Kat. Thank you for that. And it goes to research, actually, because we know that bigger impacts in learning and progress happen when there's a strong triangulation of support and care around children's learning. It isn't just the school and the child. That communication, collaboration, and working with parents is so absolutely instrumental and key in learner progress, isn't it? So it's great to hear that. And tell me if I'm wrong. That parents can actually not only access the learning activities and things from home, but they can also do some of the observations and support teachers with that as well. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can create all their own observations. And we've made sure that parents can do everything from their mobile phone, because I know, like we're hearing about in the last presentation, there is that real digital divide. And we wanted to make sure that most parents would still be able to access it and not have to have some kind of device at home, that they would be able to still get all the same information and have the opportunity to, take photos of children's work and send it to the teacher, or just through a phone.
Speaking of platforms, Kat, what platforms does Really School work on?
So any Android or iOS device, and also you can use a laptop, MacBook, a PC as well, because we have a portal as well as the app.
Brilliant. So I guess that work as well on a Chromebook. You just using it in Chrome as well, yeah? Brilliant stuff. Anything else from yourself, Mr. Kingsley?
I think Kat, as always, has expertly highlighted that there. I think the most important thing is just to hand it back to Kat for how schools can find out more. Are there trials available, Kat? Anywhere they can find out more?
Yeah, so if you go onto our website, reallyschool.com, you can sign up for a free 30-day trial. We are also offering free extensions on those at the moment, as we know it's difficult for schools with all the current challenges to have time to try things out. So you can always kind of get in touch if you need a bit longer. Also, if you go onto the website, you can actually access a demo, so you can have a look at what so you can have a look at what some of the features are and try things out yourself before you even go through the registration process for a trial.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Brilliant stuff.
As
Kat.
always. Thanks, Kat. Good to see you.
Good to
Good
see
job.
you too.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Brilliant stuff, Mr. Kingsley. And you know I'm a big fan of Really School. It's just, well, really cool. So
that's why it's called that. And another, well, obviously I know I'm biased, but a really great co-production example, working really closely with schools and teachers to make sure that it does exactly what it says on the tin. And every second counts in terms of those savings it can deliver of time in the classroom. Anyway, in our efforts to try and catch up time or not lose any more, shall we jump straight on to our next guest?
Yeah, absolutely. So welcome to Kevin from Kid Coach app. Welcome, Kevin.
Hello, chaps. How are you doing today?
Hello.
Awesome. How you doing?
Excellent. I'm very good. I'm admiring your beach theme and all your collateral. That makes me want to go on holiday. I do enjoy it.
That is the idea. Thank you very much indeed. So listen, you're from Kid Coach app. What's Kid Coach app all about?
Yeah, sure. Happy to tell you. And I'll try and keep my answers short, by the way, so happy to make this more of a Q&A rather than a full-on 5-minute pitch. But I'll tell you, so Kid Coach app, it's an app. It's a parenting and education app, pretty much for 6 to 12-year-olds. So parents of 6 to 12-year-olds is perfect for that. And really what we help do is we help parents at home have more meaningful conversations with their kids while also building key skills that they need. And these are 21st century skills, so all soft skills, human skills. They go by many different labels, but it's stuff like creativity and critical thinking and communication skills and leadership and empathy and resilience. It's, if you like, all the non-academic stuff. And we help parents build it at home through conversation.
I suppose that the first question that I was thinking of is, so who are you educating, the children, the parents, or hopefully a happy combination of both?
Yeah, it is both. So my thing is I'm a dad, I'm a parent, and I want to empower other parents out there to develop these key skills in their kids. But in so doing, I think actually, it says Kid Coach app, but it could almost be called Parent Coach app. So the feedback I've heard is that as a parent, I am now kind of getting into the groove of helping my kids think better or ask some more challenging conversation starters or to think on the spot. And it really, it all stems from, if you like, the origin as to where this all came from, right? And I'll tell you the very short version of it, which is I was reading my daughter a bedtime story, an Aesop's fable, The Wind and the Sun, if you know that one. But real quick, it's a man's walking along, he's got a coat on his back, and the wind and the sun, they have a bet who can get the man to take his coat off first. So the wind steps up and blows really hard, trying to force the coat off, but of course the man gets cold and he hugs his coat tighter, right? And then the sun has a go, shines warmly, lo and behold, man gets hot, takes his coat off, right? So the moral of the story is that you can't do anything by force, you have to be kind, it has to come from within. But not so to my young daughter, because she was immediately, but daddy, why? The wind is really strong. Can he not just blow the coat off the man? And that got us into this very natural but helpful conversation about persuasion and motivation and influence and leadership skills. And it only took 5 minutes, but it's the kind of conversation that I'll never forget. It's what I'm telling you now. And it got me realizing the power of these kinds of parent coaching moments that you can have with your own kids. And at the time I was working in a corporate education publishing company, and I saw firsthand the dearth of 21st century skills in the general population, and was very aware that the next generation will need to be more creative, think more critically, communicate well. They don't necessarily need to know algebra and kind of Shakespeare and things like that. So I was just determined to find a way to help parents develop these skills through conversation at home, making the most of these little coaching moments like I stumbled across one myself.
Brilliant.
So listen, Kevin, I personally don't know any sort of competing product. There may well be some there. What differentiates you from your competitors?
Yeah, sure. I couldn't find any other apps out there like this as well, to be honest, when I did my research. Which is slightly surprising, but I thought let me crack on and make an app. So there is no other app like this. Our unswerving focus on the 21st century skills, I think, makes it partly unique. You can Google some of the questions that we have in the app, but that takes time. So for example, the things like on creativity, what are 10 things you can do with a cup? or on critical thinking, how do you reduce litter on the streets, or on communication, how do you describe a car to an alien who's basically never seen a car, things like that. And we don't stop there. We also have prompts after that, which help further the conversation, and they're all scaffolded. And there's some use of Bloom's taxonomy to take follow-on prompts kind of really quite far. So, for example, on the car to alien one, can you summarize all the modes of transportation, right, to this alien that we use here on Earth? So things like that. There's no app, and I believe the content is well put together and well scaffolded. Also, we're advised on the content by our advisory board, which is full of philosophy for children experts, which has been incredibly helpful for us.
Brilliant. I have to say, I think Mrs. K and I could probably enjoy that app as well. Sounds right up our street. So we've got about 20 seconds to run here. Let's just give you an opportunity for a wrap up before we point people on where they can find out more. If you had to summarize in one, what the biggest impact or how it can best support families, how would you summarize it, Kevin?
Yeah, it'll get your kids talking and thinking in new and fun ways. I don't really feel like learning because they're just fun chats, and they just bring the family closer together, right? Because you're connecting through conversation, great at the dinner table, on the school run, when you're out for a drive at bedtime. Just these little 5 minutes pockets of time that you could have as a family. So if that's piqued your interest at all and you're a parent and you're with kids 6 to 12 years old, just go download the app. It's free to download. You get a 2-week free trial. No payment details required. Really is risk-free. Just search in your usual app store, Kid Coach app. And if you're a school that is maybe interested in something like this for your parents, then you can reach out to me, and that's something that we can discuss and arrange. I'm on hello@kidcoach.app. Hello@kidcoach.app.
Brilliant. I have to say, I love the idea of technology that just gets you talking, gets you engaging. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and we've got lots on football at the moment, football questions, which is very appropriate for obvious reasons as well. Like, what new rules would you invent in a football game, that kind of thing.
Fantastic.
Brilliant stuff. As a parent myself, I can see that being massively helpful and useful for all types of reasons. So, yeah, it sounds like a brilliant and innovative idea, Kevin. So thank you for coming on and sharing with us this evening. Thank you.
Thanks so much for the opportunity. Have a great one, guys.
Brilliant.
Take care.
Cheers, Kevin. Thank you.
Love that. That sounds a really, really cool, simple, but if it gets conversations around the dinner table, that's a tick in the box in my book.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, me with mine too, it's always good to give them things to talk about other than Fortnite and Pokemon. So always good, and swimming. So always good to get a bit of inspiration there. So I'm definitely going to be checking that myself as well. Kevin, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for your comment on it as well, Yolanda. Yolanda says as well, it sounds amazing. So thank you for your comments there, Yolanda, too. Clearly resonating. Speaking of comments from the audience as well, whilst we're running behind a bit anyway, lovely to hear from Ollie saying about how Really School has been supporting the local community as well. Thanks for your kind comment there, Ollie, too. I'm surprised you're still awake over there in Abu Dhabi, but thank you for sticking with us this evening, Ollie. Next up on the show this evening, we have Steve Whitley from Training Schools. Welcome, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Good to be with you.
Hi, Steve.
Thanks for joining us, Steve. So tell us, Steve, what is Training Schools all about? Is it Ron Seal, like the name suggests?
No. I always get in trouble, first of all, because Training Schools is spelt with a Z, and many teachers really don't like that, but hey, the marketing guys. Training Schools is basically a cloud-based platform that allows schools to deliver CPD training and policy documents to all of the staff in the school. So it's not aimed at the students. It's a school-based resource or MAT. I think where it really is different is in delivering the policies and the training. It actually tracks completion of those events to make sure that the teachers have actually undertaken said training or read policy document. And if they don't, sends out a series of gentle reminders to hopefully prompt them into completing. That's really important because in today's world of statutory guidance, Ofsted and government policy, you really do need to ensure as a school or a MAT that work has been undertaken and that training and policies have been done. And most importantly, you need to be able to evidence that. So the platform not only tracks completion, but it issues certificates to the teachers or the teaching staff upon completion, but it also stores all that information away. So should you get descended upon and somebody says, please show me your GDPR policy, please show me that your entire school understands it, you can say, here you go, here is the evidence of all of our staff having undertaken the GDPR training. So that's sort of the basis of it. Within training tools, we have a growing library that's put together by a team of experts. We go to whoever the experts in the field are for that particular area, and we ask them to generate training and policy document. That goes into the library, and at that point, the school or MAT can pull that document. And most importantly, they can edit that document so they can make it much more relevant to their school or their scenario. So, for instance, if it's the first aid policy, or let's say the fire safety policy, what you may want to do is actually include some maps showing the muster points and where people should assemble. You can add those into that document to make it specific to your needs. For GDPR, for instance, you could say, and this is the person who has been nominated, the poor soul that has to answer the inquiries, you need to speak to that person. Once you've done that editing, you can then throw that out across the school or at MAT level across all the schools in your MAT to ensure that you've got compliance and sort of a standard across the entire MAT. The sort of things that we cover at the moment, gosh, there's, as I say, there's 20 odd different things, but it's things like the most recent edition has been one on sexual harassment, misogyny, etc. We've got one on bullying, we've got well-being, both staff and student, e-safety, GDPR, alcohol and drug awareness for teachers, even first aid, as I've mentioned, FGM notification, a whole range of generally not very pleasant issues, but ones that need to be addressed. And as I say, they're written by experts. We partner with a number of other companies to help us develop those tools. I think the last thing to say in terms of what makes us different is you can also add or create your own materials. So quite often as we go to schools or MATs, they already have policy. We will give you a system to very quickly upload and integrate that into the platform so that you can continue using your existing policy. Or should you want to create new ones within the platform, again, are the authoring tools to allow you to very quickly produce, be it training materials or policy documents that you can then send out.
Steve, you are a man after my own heart. 20 plus years of school governance and trust. And I listen to that, and I think often people find them as a little bit of an aside talking about policies, but there is an ever-growing compliance and obligation on MATs and schools in general to make sure that not only are we up to date with our policies, but we've got, exactly as you said, that evidence that they've been through the process, and that in many cases the revision history. So it's great to hear that kind of solution that brings it all together. And I suspect, sadly, or good for you, the list of policies is only ever going to grow in terms of MAT compliance in the months and years ahead.
Yeah,
so
it unfortunately is, yes.
Yeah. So if schools are interested in and having a look at your solution and potentially giving it a try, how would they go about finding more?
Sure. Head to trainingschools.com. There's demo on there and there's video on there, so you can take a look and see if it's of interest. There's full details of all of the documents in the library. You can look at the full documents and get a feel for everything that's in there. If you want, you can sign up for a completely free account. That account lasts forever. It does limit the number of times you can send out surveys because we do have to get some money at some point, but it would allow you to actually create, edit, send, test, see that it works within your environment. It's a very affordable solution, but I'm about to say that I'm slightly biased. And certainly our recent addition of the MAT Tracker add-on really opens it up to the whole dashboard for the entire MAT, which is, again, becoming more and more important.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us. Sounds a cracking.
My pleasure.
Cheers, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye now.
We're on a roll this evening as we've got just good product after good product and a really nice diversity of solutions this evening covering all sorts of strands.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're also absolutely right about that compliance and stuff. And it's so important. And it's one of those things where you can't drop the I or forget to cross the T, isn't it? It's so important. So great to hear from Steve that he's got a great solution that can help and support schools in an affordable way with that compliance. Brilliant stuff.
And very timely, some of the policies they've introduced, given some of the challenges and narrative we're talking about at the moment in terms of online sexual harassment and so on. So again, it's really helpful if some of that legwork's done for schools and you can just adapt and tweak to meet your own school specific needs. So that's a really good one.
Yeah, nice. It's malleable in that way, isn't it?
Absolutely. The clock is ticking, Mr. Anderson. Steve, we are next up. Who have we got on the show now?
We've got James Sims now, exam simulator from the everlearner.com. Welcome to the show, James.
Evening, gents. How is it?
Very good. Good to see you.
Good.
Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Before I start, I've actually got a bit of a shout out to make, actually. And Mark, this is your fault because I need to make a shout out to Mark Mills, who's our product manager. He's been raving about you today, Mark. He's a bit of a fanboy of yours, so I want to give him a bit of a shout out. Ali didn't mention you, unfortunately, so I'm going to give you a compliment instead and say I really like your microphone.
I'll take that. You know what? I'll take any kind of compliments, so we'll go with that.
There you go.
Thanks for that, James. He's a great guy, Mark. So great to hear from him via you.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Well, look, guys, I'm not here to give any kind of pitch. I'm not here to try and flog anything. I'm here to lay my educational heart on this show, and that's what I'm going to do this evening. So if it's okay, I'm going to give that a bit of a go. I'm going to make the assumption that what I've got to say is relevant, people will come and look us up and come and have a look at what we've got to talk about and what we've got to offer. And that's my intent for this evening. And if it's okay with you, I want to tell people about Exam Simulator. Exam Simulator happens to be one of the services that we provide. It happens to be right now in 1,000 secondary schools in the UK, in classrooms now. And the things that it can do have the capacity to change what happens in classrooms for homework and everything in between. And basically this exam simulator, guys, I mean, let's be honest, exams, they're tedious, they're dull, kids don't like doing them. You've got to kind of grind it out quite often. You've got to get the marking done. You've got to get it back to people. What I did, I penciled this idea 6 years ago, and it gradually and finally came to fruition in 2021 when we launched it in January. Exam Simulator allows teachers to set students to write and is capable of auto-indicatively marking prose-based responses that students write to any length exam answer they may do in prose. So that is everything from a 1 marker to a 40 marker you can get in some subjects. We focus at the moment on secondary provision, and that auto-indicative marking is currently performing at a hit rate of well over 90%, meaning that it is probably right now as accurate to a human being teacher. Now, let's think about that in reality. What does that mean? Well, it means basically that teachers, when they do their marking process, can be much more human in their work. They do not need to be doing very mechanistically doing this kind of thing. That process will snappily bring the probable correct responses to the teacher's attention, freeing up time for that teacher to truly engage in qualitative, high quality marking feedback. And it also speeds up that process. We know today that feedback proximity to the learning episode impacts learning, and we focused heavily on that. Finally, the software also, it does every diagnostic that you could possibly imagine that could be done off the back of a student's piece of writing. You will not have to, as a teacher, contribute any diagnostic whatsoever. You will not have to do any analysis. It will produce that bang in one go for you, and it reports it in a beautiful way. Now, the thing I really want to say to people today, I imagine there might be a head teacher watching this, there might be a business manager, there might be a head of IT. Go today to your head, not today, it's in the evening, you're probably watching the footy, but go tomorrow and talk to your head of PE, because we have launched this right now in the niche, the biggest niche of niches in academic PE. And right now it's active in 1,000 PE departments in this country right now in secondary schools. So if you're one of those people, business manager, head teacher, whoever you are, go and talk to your head of PE about whether they're using this right now. Finally, on this, before I want to talk a little bit about competitors, finally on this, the software learns from teachers too. So when teachers interact with our software, when they engage in what we call the review, not the marking process, when they select something that our software didn't previously identify, our software learns from them. Now, it does not match for language. It does not match that you select this and it'll look for that again. It learns the concept that the teacher selected and then values and identifies as potentially correct other equivalent phrases in the future. Not the same words, not the same spelling, not the same order of those words, equivalent meaning. It is the only software on the planet that does this, and we have it right now in the UK. We also happen to have it in this little niche of academic PE. Who would have thought it? A little bit about our competitors. Right now, if you look at how people provide exams, there's a couple of sort of exam environments where you can set a question, students can answer online. There's also environments where you can produce a paper, but there is nothing that provides both the content, the environment, and the auto-indicative marking, and also the full diagnostic off the back of that processing. And we provide that right now in those schools. We really imagine that our service will be used in one of two ways in schools, exactly like it is now. Our environment, our questions, our content, teachers applying those things to students and getting that often and frequent answering of exam questions and getting that feedback to students much faster. But we are also imminently moving that software into a licensing arrangement where schools, MATs, universities, businesses can actually use our software to set any written task whatsoever, and that written task will go through our process and will allow them to have those answers come in the smartest way on the planet today. I think that was a bit of a pitch in the end.
James, I just wish you could be a little bit more committed and enthusiastic about your technology.
It works.
Good man. I think that's a really good summary. Thank you for sharing that. Now, anybody listening, most important thing is, where can they go and find out more about the solution?
Find us on Twitter at The Everlearner. Find us at our main platform, theeverlearner.com. Theeverlearner.com. There's free trials available. There's also free use of the exam simulator until September the 1st. So please come and have a go and have a play with it. I mean, why not? Get your kids writing something over the summer. And also, guys, if you book a demo, that is with me personally, and I will personally take you through this. I'm the owner, I'm the creator, and you will get this level of energy too when you meet me. Prepare yourselves.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us.
Guys, have a good one. Thanks to Katie as well. Have a good evening.
Cheers, James. Love that. Brilliant stuff. Thank you.
Really good, like that. Yeah. And as always, can't beat a product if you come and have a play with it. It's just the best way to assess technology. So really good to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're getting towards the end now, aren't we, Mr. Kingsley?
We are, and we are now going to be heading off to talk about numbots with Bruno.
Now, welcome, Bruno. How are you, my friend?
I'm very good, thanks very much. How are you guys? It's great to be here.
We're doing all right, thank you.
Good.
Good, matey.
You look like you've got. Are we having a robot competition today? Have we got something?
There is a little bit of a robot off, isn't there? Yeah. I'm also sporting.
Look at that
Numbots t-shirt there.
Very good indeed, bro. It wouldn't be a conversation with you without some kind of branding.
Well, I do what I can. Drop a few things in here and there.
Every now and then, yeah.
That's all good.
So for the uninitiated, Bruno, would you like to just share a little bit about numbots?
Yeah, of course. So numbots does for addition and subtraction what times tables rockstars does for multiplication and division. And in fact, we started, as you'll know, with rockstars and smashed the tables, and schools and parents would say to us, well, thanks very much. That's great what you're doing for multiplication and division. But now we've got this problem where children in year 6 are still counting on their fingers. What can you do about number bonds and addition and subtraction? So we set to work. It took us 3 years. We applied everything we'd learned from Times Table Rockstars and more. We read up on everything from the National Centre for Excellence in Teaching Maths. We listened to what the lovely people at Number Sense have to say about addition and subtraction. So we did our homework in every sense. And what was really important to us was to not do things by halves. It had to have excellent gameplay and beautiful design to capture the learner's interest, but it also had to be pedagogically world-class and easy to administer for teachers. And that's what we've got. So numbots has now been around for about 18 months. It's in more than 5,000 schools. We've won a few awards, not least the Queen's Award for Enterprise for Innovation last year. So Numbot's contributed to winning that, which means we get to fly a flag at our office premises. So at some point we'll have a little flag raising ceremony for that. So that's where we are with Numbots. Can I carry on and tell you what makes it perhaps a bit different from others?
Well, it's almost like you read my mind, Bruno.
Hey.
What does make it different to other solutions on the market?
Well, Mark, I'll tell you. I mean, for me, right, if I was looking for a great maths game to sort out addition and subtraction, I'd probably be looking for a number of things. And I think with Numbots, you find them all in one place. That was what was really important to me. So it's the combination of best practice in a number of fields. I think you'll find that maths teachers would endorse the way we go about teaching and approaching the maths. Cognitive scientists would say we do a great job with everything that we know about moving things from working memory to long-term memory. And I think gamification experts would say we've nailed it too. So for me, the USP is just the combination of all of those great practices. I'll give you an idea of how it works. It starts with a storyline, which is set on a magical scrap heap where Rusty, here's Rusty, the central character who lives on the scrap heap, dreams of becoming a diamond bot, right? He wants to become a diamond bot. He wants to shine inside and out. I'm just going to introduce you to one of the stars, in fact, of the show. This is Austin. He's my son. He plays the part of Rusty, who turns into Diamond Bot. And you'll see that he's wearing the Rusty t-shirt. And I've got Ninja Bot. Okay, this is my other son, Ninja Bot, who did the voice. He did the voiceover for Ninja Bot. And these guys help to provide the storyline that immerse the children into it. And from there, it takes the learners on a journey from subitizing, which is a long lost art of counting without counting. So it's like, if I hold up this many fingers, can you tell? That's subitizing. So we move from subitizing to number bonds, to addition and subtraction, all totally seamlessly. What I love about it is that we use these different representations that pupils will be familiar with in the classroom: 10 frames, bead strings, sticks, coins, cherries, 100 squares, Numicon, bar models, all the rest of it. And we try to maximize the use of those different representations so that it always feels very fresh to the learners, but while minimizing the increase in complexity. So pupils feel that, oh, okay, this is novel. We continue to find this interesting, engaging, but we're making it ever so slightly more challenging as they go through, and they kind of don't realize that, which is why it all fits together so beautifully. So the result is that their maths is skyrocketing, and not only their maths, but for me, their math confidence is really at the heart of this. And what it's doing for their math confidence is really heartwarming. We see that in lovely messages into our inbox each day, but also into our Twitter feed. So have a look at our Numbots Twitter feed to see what people say every day. In terms of teacher features that they love, I mean, my favorite is the one-click celebration assembly button. So I can walk into assembly having done no preparation for it because, I'm a busy teacher. I press a button and it fills the screen with an animation of who's won which awards this week. The price is low. It's even lower if you've already got Times Table Rockstars, which it works seamlessly with. No setup required. You just get the pupils on. They get on as soon as you got them in.
Brilliant stuff. I'm loving the one cab as well. That sounds like a really great time saver, particularly with the age children that you're pitching this at as well, Bruno, where staff numbers aren't huge. The time pressures are even more tight for things and arranging things like assemblies. So actually, just that little bit of thinking behind those sort of things makes it really, really lovely and compelling for schools as well, isn't it?
A number of the members of the team are teachers, and if they're not teachers, they're parents, or they've spent time in schools figuring out what's going to work for teachers and for children. So,
there's lots to like here, Bruno. And again, the sort of pedagogical efficacy there, the thinking behind how it links into, like you say, space practice, into all the rest of it. That's really, really good. If you want to find out more, Bruno, where can they go? I'm guessing they follow the Twitter account at Numbots.
They can go to @Numbots. You go to numbots.com and they can start a free trial. If you've already got a Rockstars account, you can go in there, go to the Numbots page and launch a trial with one click.
And thank you to the voiceover artists, your boys, for joining this evening.
Thank you,
Very
boys.
kind
They're,
of them to come
they're
and
behind
say,
the screen.
on the
Yeah,
team.
they charge a royalty for these sort of events.
Sorry, Bruno, you're breaking up. Can't hear you.
I'm saying they charge a royalty. Right.
No, definitely.
No, you can't hear me. All right.
No, thank you for joining us.
All
Bless
right,
you.
guys.
Thanks so much.
Thanks very
Take
much.
care.
Have a good evening. Bye.
Cheers so much, Bruno. Thank you. Take care, mate.
Okay.
Macaroni.
Lots to like there.
What a good show. What a real variety as well. No, great products. I mean, we've been blessed. We are, frankly, most shows, but we've had a really good mix again for this show. And of course, at this point, hopefully, England and Scotland are through to potentially at the point you're watching this, it could be the finals. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, really good show. As always, a big shout out and thank you to the hostess with the mostest, Katie, for keeping us all organised and coordinated. Thank you, Katie. Although she can't reply, but I know in spirit she'll be saying thank you. As always, thanks to you, Mark. Have we got any more shows coming up, or are we taking a summer break?
No, we've got another show coming up next month. So as you can see, very helpfully, thank you very much, Katie. Our next show is on the 27th of July. If you're keen to get involved, as always, simply go to netsupportsoftware.com/showcase. You'll find a little form on there and you better fill it in. And then Katie or one of the team will be in touch to arrange with you about your involvement in that show. It doesn't cost anything to be involved. All we ask is that as a person participating on the show, that you share a few times on social media that you are going to be on the show, and that's it. So yeah,
I'm sorry, Mark. I'm always cutting across you. I do apologise. I was just going to say that was my little reminder about the summer holidays, which is it's your last chance to get on for the July show before we do genuinely take a month off for the holidays. So if you want to get your products aware and people to have a look at them over the holidays, now's the time to get on the list and get subscribed. And if we don't see you before next month's show, hopefully you can come along and join us for our EdTech conversation and discussion that we have on the 14th of July. So another opportunity for a free event to come and join the EdTech debate.
Yeah, absolutely. Really looking forward to that. So thank you, Al, for a great evening. Thank you as well to Katie from me too. Thank you very much. But in a world where we want to find out who's actually won the football, it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Cheers.